Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to the Amud Yomi Shiur. We have had a long break, and now we're back. Baruch Hashem. We're learning Maseches Bava Metzia Daf. We're Daf Ein Daled Amud Aleph in the bottom of the page of Ein Daled Amud Aleph. But because it was a long break, we're going to recap a bit in the Mishnah because we're going to learn the Gemara about this Mishnah. The Shiur is Le'il Nishmas Tov V'Moyer Menachem Ben Akiva Rus Bas Shalom So Bas Moshe Hatzlochas Chen Bas Yardena and Yosef Gavriel ben Malta. Hashem should send them Yeshua very quickly. Says the Mishnah, we're going back to the Mishnah that we're learning the Gemara about. Ein poskin ala peiros ad she'etzah. One's not allowed to prepay for a product when it's still cheap. In other words, let's say in Tishrei, the beginning of the year, the product is still cheap, and that product is not available by the person I want to buy it from. In other words, I'm giving cash in advance. I will only get the product itself later. The assumption is that the item will become more expensive later. Let's say now I'm buying, let's say, whatever, a ton of wheat for $400. I don't know. And later on will be $500, and I'm going to stay with the $400. That's not allowed because it's like ribbis, because the owner of the wheat, the seller is getting cash without giving anything, which is similar to alva, to a loan, and I will get big. I am like the malve, I the buyer, I'm like the lender, and I will actually get more, right? I will get in Tavis it's going to be worth 500, and I will still keep the 400 price. I'm getting more. So that's similar to Ribbis Medrabanan, it's also. However, if Yotza Shar means that there was already a set price decided by the market, there's a stable price which we know will stay that way, for at least for I don't know the next few days or weeks or so. So then even if the seller doesn't have the wheat, because his neighbors have the wheat, that's good enough. And that's called Yotzar Shar. Why? Because he can very easily, either him or me, can easily get that item from the neighbors, from other people, for a set price, and we know that even if I wait a few days or so, the price will stay the same. It's as if I, the buyer, already have it in my house, already have it in my possession. It still became expensive by me. This we explained before. Yotzar Shar Poiskin. Once Yotzar Shar, once the rate has already been decided, and it's something commonly found in the market, even though the seller doesn't have it, other people have it, so that's good enough. That's case number one. Case number two, let's say the person, there is no Yotzar Shar, people around don't have that item available, but the person himself, when I say the person, I mean the seller, he himself, he's the first one that has, let's say, wheat in his field. I can buy the wheat from him even though other people don't have it, but he himself has it. Because he himself has the wheat in his own store, in his own field, in his own granary, and I buy and I prepay for the wheat that's existing right there behind the counter, or even in different areas, as long as it's by the seller, it's considered as if he bought as if I already got it into my house. Why? I gave money, I gave cash already, and I am not allowed to regret the sale. Neither is he allowed to regret the sale. Why? Because there's Mishapora. Whoever regrets and revokes the sale after what? After there's been already money given, that's not allowed. That's called Mishapora. He gets a klolo. So that makes it stable enough as if it's a done deal. Once it's a done deal, it's just a technicality that only later the wheat will come to my house 3 months later. It's not considered ribbis. It's considered as everything was done. It's as if it was pulled into my house already and I'm the buyer. It's not ribbis. And then we go on to other cases, which we're not going to elaborate so much now because it's because whatever, just doing chazor, godish. But in other words, the person has a heap of the tvua of the kotzir, then it's good enough, even though it's not yet ready to eat. Valovich anovim velmatan shel zeisim, anovim and zeisim, grapes and olives are the same. I want to buy wine, so even though all he has is grapes, it's considered as ready enough. It's as if he already has wine. Same thing with oil and olives. All these things we discussed already before. all these items are not completely ready, but because they're soon to be ready, there's nothing much that stops there's no big gap between the current situation and the finished product. It's considered as if the person already has a finished product, and Mimel, it's a done deal, and it's not called Ribbis. Now we have to elaborate and slow down. Let's now, put our feet on the brakes. Zevel, one important commodity is manure. Yeah, manure, the animal's dung, is important because it's a fertilizer. So here the Mishnah says something interesting. The Nakama says that when it comes to Zevel, when it comes to the manure, yeah, the fertilizer, although fertilizers are not ready to be used only in the summer, in the winter, people step all over them and animals step all over them in the street, and they become better. They become more, more fertilizing. So in the summer, they're really, really good. In the winter, they're not so good and not so common. So poisikim ala zevel kolim shono. Although the zevel in the winter is not really so available, you may still fix a price, yeah, with a person to sell you zevel, even though he doesn't have it and it's not so common in the market either. It's still okay. That's kolim shono all year round. Soon we're going to see why in the Mishnah. Rabbi Yossi argues and says no. Rabbi Yossi says no. A person may only be poisek. He can only fix the price of the zevel of what, of the manure, only if the person himself, the seller, has zevel in his own ashpa. Even if his neighbor has it, it's not good enough. Interesting. Rabbi Yossi says zevel is very extreme achloikus. Even if other people have zevel available, it's not good enough. Only if the person himself has it. The Tiferes Yisrael says that according to Rabbi Yossi, people actually, it's very fun. It's a very extreme machlokes. People don't give zevel to others so readily, so easily. Now the third one, v'chachomim matirim. Chachomim allow. What do chachomim allow? Chachomim sound as if they talk like Tanakama, and chachomim say kolim shono. What's kolim shono? So it seems like, even if the person himself doesn't have the zevel, even if other people have it, that's still good enough because I don't have the zevel, I'm the seller, but others do, so I can easily get it from my neighbors. The question that Gemara is going to ask is, what's the difference between the Tanakama and Chachomim? They both seem to argue on Rabbi Yossi, and they both seem to be saying that what? Zevel doesn't have to be owned by the seller himself. It can be owned by other merchants, other zevel people, and that's good enough for us to say that it's ki'ilu, all bought, all done, all transferred. That will be discussed in today's shiur. That will be the first topic of today's shiur. Second part, or the last part of the Mishnah that we're also going to elaborate on today, bli neder, that is upoisik ima b'shar hagavoa. Oh, what does it mean poisik ima b'shar hagavoa? As we explained before, shar hagavoa, don't let the word mislead you, means cheaper price. Gavoa means you can get more for less. Gavoa means more items for less price. So what happens? Yeah, let's give an example. Let's say that I'm buying a bag of wheat. So a bag of, 1 kilo of wheat costs 100 shekels, let's say, okay? Now 100 shekel, that's what it costs in Tishrei at the beginning, right? At the beginning of the year, when things are less stable, you don't have it in your store, other people may have it, or you have it, but it's still cheap. And we hope that I'm giving you 100 shekels now. You're very grateful because you need that 100 shekel. And you only give me the item, the bag of wheat in Tevis. Yeah, Tishrei, Cheshvan, Kislev, Tevis. Yeah, 4 months later, you're going to give me the bag of wheat. That's a story. Why is that allowed? Either because you have it in your store, your neighbor has it in your store, so far so good. But what would be if all of a sudden the bag of wheat in Tevis, instead of inflation, maybe it will go down in price. Maybe it will be a deflation. Maybe really instead of becoming more expensive, it will become cheaper, right? And then if we fix the price on 100, then who's losing? The customer, right? The customer, once he sees where the wind blows and he sees that the graph is, instead of going up, is going down, prices of wheat are sinking, he says, "Oi, what a friar I was," as we say in Hebrew. "Oi, how stupid I was because I fixed the price on what? 100 shekel in Tishrei. Now, for 100 shekel, I can get 2 bags instead of 1. So is he allowed to now change his mind and say, I want what? I want the current price. I want now 2 bags for 100, or I want it back out of the deal because now it's not worth it for me. That's a big machlokes between Tanakama and Rabbi Yehuda. Says Tanakama, upoisik imoy kishara gavoya, which means if the person specified, when I say the person, I mean the buyer. If the buyer specified and said, listen, Mr. Seller, I'm telling you, when I'm saying we're fixed on 100, that is to say that if it becomes 200, 300, we're still staying with the old price. That's worth it for me. But obviously, or maybe not so obviously, yeah, but really, if the prices go down, then no. Then when I get the actual bag of wheat with a UPS messenger in Tavis and it's going to be worth 50, then I'll want 2 bags, or then I'll whatever, want my money back. Then things will change. I'm not always fixed on this price of now, by hook or by crook always. So you have to specify that. But if you did not specify, then the customer will lose. If you did not specify, right, and the customer will actually be chayzer boy, the customer will say, no, now the price is going down. That's not what I had in mind. Then he cannot do that to one level or another. The Gemara will say that it's going to be an issue of mishapora, which means, yeah, it's like going back on a deal. You gave money, right? You gave money in Tishrei. Once you gave money, you can't change your mind. Lemaise, it's going down and it's not worth it for me. Tough luck. It's not worth it for you, Mr. Customer. You gave money of 100 and you didn't say anything. You gave the money. You had to back off. You can back off, but we'll take you to BSD and they'll give you a very ugly curse on your head. Mishapar medor mabel medor palago. Yeah. This is what Tanakama says. So Tanakama is kivyachol not on the side of the customer. Rabbi Yehuda argues and says, even if they did not specify, they did not speak about the option of what happens if it gets cheaper, even if nothing was spoken, still nevertheless, you can tell him, who the customer can tell the seller, tenli kazeh or tenli isma'oisai. You can tell him, listen, no, I'm changing my mind, because obviously, even though I didn't say it, says Rabbi Yehuda, remember the words, it goes without saying. It goes without saying that if I am giving you 100 and want to fix it on 100 because I gave you early money and I did you a favor to prepay such a long time before the actual delivery, why did I do that? I'm not a charity organization. I'm not Kupa. I did that for my own business interest, and that goes without saying. So my idea was 100 now. In case it becomes 200-300, I'm staying with 100. But in case it goes down to 50, no. Even though I did not specify it, it goes without saying that, of course, I mean to say, yeah, my kavana was that I'm only interested in the 100 if it will be the cheaper option. But if now it's going down and it's 50, it's 70, it's 90, of course I want the current price. And if you don't agree to that, I'm backing off and I don't have mishapora. There's no mishapora. Why? Because mishapora is when it's not justifiable. That's mishapora. Mishapora means that you start backing off. You saw another deal, a better deal by another guy. You're a schwindler. You already gave money. We're so close to a final deal. And you're backing off. That's not nasty. That's not nice. You get a klala. Mashenkin here, according to Rabbi Yehuda, no, it's a very justifiable thing. It's justified. Mapitom, I should want to have a bad deal. I'm fixing myself 100 because it's a good deal. It's not called mishapara. It's more like mekachtos. It's mekachtos. If you sell me shoes, you promise to sell me shoes, and you give me this nice, elegant, nice, stylish box. Yeah, and inside, instead of shoes, I see a hat. What do you mean mishapora? It's just not the right deal. That's what Rabbi Yehuda doesn't view it as mishapora. Views it as what? He views it as the mekachtos. My idea of prepaying was obviously if it's going to be worth it for me financially. If it's not worth it, avada not. That's what Rabbi Yehuda says. The Nakama says no. The Nakama says the other way around. The Nakama says no. If you didn't specify, didn't specify. And if you gave money, then you have to stand by your word. The price went down. Your tough luck, says the Nakama to the customer. And this is the Mishnah. Well, I'll be hearing you soon. Let's go now to Ain Daled Amud Aleph in the very bottom of the page. Yes, what's your question? Question time. Ain Daled Amud Aleph, let's continue. Yeah. Right? So said when it comes to manure, according to Chachomim, the last opinion of the three, all year round, you can set a price on Zevel, on the manure, even though the person does not have the manure in his possession, because if he doesn't have it, other people have it. Brag the Gemara, Chachomim ainu Tanakama. Chachomim are the same as Tanakama. Tanakama says that the owner of the seller of the manure doesn't have to have it. Yeah. And the Chachamim say the same. What's the difference between the two opinions? Answers the Gemara, Omarova, says Ova, there is a difference. Yemoisa Gshomim, excuse me, Ikabeinayu, which means Tanakama says that Kol Yemoisa Shono. Kol Yemoisa Shono, all year round, yeah. Tanakama says, even in the winter, and that's a big chiddush, when the garbage, when the zevel is not so common and not so ready to be used yet, but it does exist, but less, because zevel is so commonly borrowed, people lend to each other so much the zevel, they really don't care. So even though the guy doesn't have it, and even his next door neighbors don't have it, but somebody has it, yeah, it's not so common, but it's there, and it's very readily being transferred from one person to the other, then even though nobody in the near area has it, it's not shechiach, not common, it's still considered as yeshlo. It's considered as if it's there. Yeah, like you don't have a bag of milk at night, Baruch Hashem, you know, even if it worries you very much, your neighbor has it, you know, the shop is closed, you go to the gas station to buy it at 11 o'clock at night. It's something that's available, even if it's not very available. Masha'en can, yeah, that's Rabbi Yossi. So Rabbi Yossi says just the other way around. Rabbi Yossi says that it's not commonly used at all. And Chachamim, the last opinion, they say only by the Chama. Chachamim say only when it's commonly found by people, which is in the summer island, that's when it is considered as not considered. That's where you can find more of it all the time, because in the winter it's not yet ready. You get it? Yeah. In the summer, everyone already stepped all over it and moved it and did it, whatever. Yeah, it's been, I don't know, some chemical reaction. Then in the summer, then when it's commonly found by other people, then we say, oh, very good. You can now, even if Reuven doesn't have it, Shimon, Levi, Yehuda, all his neighbors, they have it, and then you can buy it from Reuven, even though he doesn't have it. In other words, according to Chachamim, Zevel is regular commodity. According to BSD, it's worse. According to Tanakama, it's better than all other commodities. Oh, here comes fun. Here we're going to go. We have to hold cop here a little bit about the Mechlokas Rabbi and Chachamim. That's the last actually issue of the Mishnah. The last topic of the Mishnah was about what happens if things go just the other way around from expected. The price plummeted down, right? And now the customer wants to say, hey, I'm not interested in the original price that we fixed. I'm interested in the current price, which is cheaper. Can he or can he not say that, right? Says Gemara, story time, real life story. There was a person who gave money to Nedunya, the dowry of his own wife to be from Bei Chamua, from his father-in-law, which means father-in-law told son-in-law, you're going to marry my daughter? You want my daughter obviously to come to the wedding full of, jewelry, nice earrings, nice tachshitim, rings, bracelets, all very nice. Go to Mr. Jeweler, yeah, and give him money now, give the jeweler money, and later on we'll collect the jewelry a few months later. Yeah, basically the case of the Mishnah. So the son-in-law is basically like a shaliach of his father-in-law. He gave cash now to the jewelry guy, to the jeweler, and later on he's going to get it. And why isn't it ribbis? Well, I guess the jeweler has it in the store. If he doesn't have it, another guy either in Manhattan or wherever, they have jewelry, the next door store, all very nice. As we expect, as is our case, the Nedunya went cheaper. He placed, let's say every ring costs, a cheap ring costs $100. That was Tishrei. They expected the rings to go up, the price of gold and silver or whatever, and they thought it's going to be $200 in Tavis, let's say, and really, instead of 100, it just went the other way around. That ring, which you prepaid for, $100 per ring in Tishrei, actually the prices went down. The prices of gold went down, and now it is $50. I'm speaking very extreme numbers just to make it clear. Yeah, now it's 50. Oh, and now obviously there's a case here. Also, look, of Papa. They came to Rav Papa. What do you think each side says? Well, I know what they say without the Gemara saying. Why? The jeweler says, hey, we fixed the price. Yeah, it's for the good or for the bad, through thick and thin. Be loyal to your word. You said $100. You gave $100. Now it's not fitting you. It doesn't, the wind doesn't blow your way. Tough. No. You take now that ring and pay for it $100. You paid already. I'll give you one ring, even though now I could give you two rings. To all other customers in the store, I'm giving two rings for $100 because that's a going rate. You fixed yourself, excuse the pun, you fixed yourself here in a fix of what? Of $100, and now you'll get one for 100. Okay, very nice. So that's what would the customer say? The son-in-law that's about to get married, he says, no, mapitom. Of course, the whole idea was, and he went without saying, as Rabbi Yehuda says, that I was interested in fixing the price of 100, assuming it's going to go up. Yeah, I'm prepaying you. It's basically kosher ribbis. It's kosher ribbis. I'm giving you $100 now in order to later get a ring worth 200 for 100. But if it goes the other way, about it, that wasn't my kavana. I didn't have to specify it. Yeah, and nobody's mishapara over here, says the customer. Customer wants a current price. Yeah, give me what? $50. Give me two rings now for the 100 that I gave you before. Omerle. So now Rav Papa, who does Rav Papa side with? Omerle comes Rav Papa and tells the son-in-law. Son-in-law is now, his face are falling. Yeah. Mr. Son-in-law who bought rings for his beloved Kala. If you specifically said Kishara Gavoya, if you specifically mentioned in Tishrei, when you went all starry-eyed, when you got engaged in Tishrei, Ben Azmanim from Lakewood, yeah, you came to the store and what? And gave $100, and you specified and said, I'm going to stick to $100 only if it goes up. But if it goes down, Shashar HaGavoy, meaning it's going down, very confusing. And you said, I will not stick to 100. If it goes down, then I'm going down with the price. And I want two rings now for $100 because now each ring is worth 50. Then very good. Then the law is on your side. The Eloi, but if you did not specify it, Shakil Kemikora. No, if you did not specify that, you should stick to the old price and you lost, which means Rav Papa is not on the side of the customer. Rav Papa is koifer in customers always right. And Rav Papa says what? He says, no, if you didn't specify it, you said 100, stick to 100, whether it's good for you or as if it's now, is it bad for you. And now you're stuck and you have to now get what? A ring, which is currently worth 50. You have to get it for 100 because that is what you didn't specify otherwise. You said 100, you stick to that. Okay, that's what Rav Papa says. Seemingly Rav Papa, Pashut Paskins like Rabbi Yehuda. Yeah, excuse me, like Tanakama, excuse me. Like Tanakama. Thank you. Amal Rabbana of Papa. Rabbana asked Rav Papa, wait a second. Let's diffuse all the tension here from Ribbis, Mishapora. What really went on here mitzad kinyonim? Was there any real kinyan here? Was there any real kinyan? I'm asking a question. If a person gives you cash in order to get what? Metaltalin. Was there a done deal kinyan? No. You all know the halacha. Very nice from Azov. Frekt Rabbanon to Rav Papa. The Rabbanon, the Talmidei Yeshiva, the Rabbanon asked Rav Papa. V'loi posak shokil kimikora. If he did not say specifically, I want to go down to the cheaper price, why is he committed to the old price of Mikara? He said he committed, shmitted, moisninu. This is just money. It was just, transference of money, of cash. Umois loikonu. Last time we checked, Azov, daf, where was it? Daf, Memzaino with base, v'chule. Yeah, there was all this story over there about what? About money not being coin and metaltalin. So there's no kinyan. So why does he have to stick to a situation which is not a kinyan? He didn't do a kinyan. It was just a prepayment. It's not a kinyan. Omerlu. So he answered, you guys are right, says Rav Papa. 100%. Nobody says it was a kinyan. I know that Mois are not kone. I know, me, a my psak, me too. I know, nami, me too. When I pass in that way, lekibule ale mishapara kamina. Oh, you all know about mishapara as we spoke about in the Mishnah. He's basically siding with who? With Tanakama. And says as follows. When somebody gave cash to a seller, that is not a kinyan. You're not mechuyev. Nobody's going to put you in jail or hit you if you don't continue the deal. It's not a way, it's not irrevocable completely. However, you're so close to finishing off a deal when you give the money, then if you go back on that now, you revoke it now, get a klolo in BSD, not just a klolo from Hashem in general, which is bad enough. The person tells you, you want to go back on you can go back, but you have to go to BSD, and BSD will curse you. and they say Mishapor Medor Mabul Medor Balogo, he will be porea, he will punish those who are not trustworthy. Okay, and that's what I meant. Elaborates Rav Papa. If they specifically said that if it goes down, then they will go down with the price. I'm fixing halfway. $100 in case it goes up to 200. I'm staying with 100. Remember who was nice to you and gave you cash when you needed cash? That's ribbis, kosher ribbis. But I'm specifying and I'm saying that if it goes down, oh, then I want the current price, the later price of 50. If they said that, then moicher kahoder bay. And now the moicher, the seller, gets cold feet and says, no, actually not. It doesn't suit me, against the agreement. That's dishonest. There's no kinyan, but he's extremely dishonest, right? He was mischayev to go down with the price, and now the seller feels he's a frayer. All the prices went down, and he has an old customer for $100 from before. Then moicher mikabel alei moicher mishapora. Then the moicher gets the klol of mishapora. It's true. It's still flexible. There's no kinyan, but there's a big red sign saying mishapora for those who go back on the kinyan at this late stage. However, the other way. What about the other way? Iloi posak. Let's say, as we said before, they did not say anything about the bad or seemingly bad option of going down. They didn't speak about it. Yeah, I come to your jewelry store and I'm a nice chosen, all starry-eyed. I'm buying this for $100, knowing, I'm assuming because he read all the Financial Times and all the, Wall Street Journal and all that, and he knows the gold price is going to shoot up. He's expecting that to be higher, and he says, "Oh, I'm sticking to what? To $100, and I'm not talking about what's going to happen if it goes down." That option was not mentioned. Then lokech kahoder bay, and later on, the buyer he's now losing, obviously, because now he's paying $100 for a ring currently worth 50 in Tevis. Now the lokeach is interested of, getting out of the deal. Then it's not a kinyan. He can't do that. You want to go back on your deal? Okay, go to BSD. I'll give you a very nice curse, and then you'll think again. Maybe some people do that. Maybe some people, tough skin, and they can do that. They go to BSD. 3 very great rabbis give them a very strong curse. Some people may not care. And they care about $50 or maybe $5 million. It depends what the deal. More than the klol. Okay, up to you. But Mishapara is there. The heavy burden of Mishapara is there. Basically, Rav Papa Begadol is paskening like who? He's paskening like Tanakama. Tanakama sides not with the lokech. Tanakama says, if you want to go, if you want to regret the deal, you, Mr. Buyer, Mr. Customer, you want to regret the deal, and when you see that the current price is cheaper, and now you come at paying more expensive, just the other round from what you thought, you should have mentioned it. If you didn't mention it at the beginning, Mefurash, then you're going to lose. In what way? You're going to get Mishapora. Yeah, it may not be a kinyan, Mishapora you get. Don't tell me to make achtos. Don't tell me that it goes without saying. That's what Rav Papa said, siding with Tanakama against Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda was on the customer side, and Rabbi Yehuda said that even if nothing was mentioned, still the customer is right, because he believes that's understandable by me'atzmoi, that that's what the customer wants. That's the machloekas. Rav Papa seems to be siding with Tanakama. So far, so good. And we're going to now involve another machloekas, and it's going to get very freilich over here. That's a very good time for questions now. We're about to enter a danger zone, so it's good time for now question time. Let's have a question break. In a lot of your questions, I want to explain something. When the guy went to the store and says, I want a ring for $100, and he's giving $100, yeah? Okay. Now, the rings are in the store, and he could take them home right now. Yeah? So why doesn't he? Why doesn't he? It's not just a delivery issue that it happened to deliver 3 months later, such bad service. No. He davka wants to get it later, yeah, for the cheaper price. That was his whole kavanah. Get what I'm saying? In other words, I'm giving you cash now. It's saying you stay with your schoira. This is, let's imagine, just to make it a bit more understandable, that the soicher, the jewelry maker, is a young, budding, starting up guy, yeah? Okay? I'll give you cash now. I won't ask you for the rings, so you can still do other business with the rings and the money. Everything stays by you. You gain time, you, Mr. Seller, soicher, yeah? You gain time. You get my money. You still keep the jewelry that you owe me, everything. Give me the jewelry in 3 months' time. Obviously, I'm doing you a favor now, but giving you cash for nothing on purpose. I'm not taking the ring home, although I could have. I choose to dafka take it later because I know the later will be more expensive. This way, we'll both gain. That's what Ribbis is like, Kilu. I'm giving you cash now without asking for anything. You're now dancing in the street with joy. You have money and you have the jewelry by you. Later, I want to get the compensation of waiting for my money by getting a ring, which then will be worth 200 for the whole price of 100. That's the underlying message here. You get it? Mimela, don't say have the cake and eat it. Let's say I'm the customer. I'm Rebuda. I'm on the customer side. I gave you money for nothing. I could have taken the ring. My Kala would have liked to see it already now. My Kala keeps asking me, where's the ring? Yeah, very nice. Elamai, why did I keep it by the store? Because I want to give you more time with both the schora and the money. In return of that, I want more. I want to get a better deal. I want to get a ring which later will be 200 for the same old 100. But if the ring goes down to 50, of course I didn't do you a favor and also I want to lose. Think of it that way. That's Rabbi Yehuda. Okay? Tanakama says like you. Tanakama says you can't have the cake and eat it. Tanakama says you fix yourself on 100 for the good or for the bad. Rabbi Yehuda says no. I fix myself on what's good for me because I did you the favor. Obviously, I'm interested in my benefit, and it's not called being dishonest or being spoiled. No. I think we were magdur it pretty well. Before we continue, yeah, now you have to hold cup. Now we're going to take the machlokes between Rabbeinu and Rabbanan, which Baruch Hashem I think we summarized pretty nicely. We're going to now basically try and merge it or not merge it, compare or differentiate between this machlokes about the customer yes or not specifying what happens if it goes cheaper, to another machlokes waking up the dead, and that is we all say so clearly like such Talmidei Chachamim that kinyan mois, just giving money, is not kohen metaltalin. Now that's true, but I want to remind you of Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yochanan says, and this is actually in this week's parsha. This week's parsha in the Torah talks about it. Baruch Hashem. Oikonim miyada mitecha, right? Konim miyada mitecha means if you buy from a Jew, you have to buy memeshicha miyada mitecha. That's all very nice. However, Rabbi Yochanan learns that midoraisa kinyan mois, kinyan of money, is koine. Midoraisa money, if I gave cash, like by goyim, like by people not like today, you gave cash, it's a kinyan, right? Yes, Tim McKenzie will tell you for sure. Midoraisa, according to Rabbi Yochanan, that is true. Rabbanan made a gzera. Remember, Rabbanan said no. As long as the goods, for example, the wheat is in the house of the seller, then we say, although the wheat for $10,000, the cash was given to the seller, but if the wheat is still in his storage room, we say it's not a done deal midrabbanon until the customer goes and pulls it away to the customer's house. Why? Famous. Gzera Shema Yomer Lord, there's a gzera. He may come and tell him, Nisrfu chitecha ba'aliyah. Maybe the seller has no interest in looking after the wheat anymore. Let's say fire comes, right? There's fire coming, and the fire is not endangering anybody except the wheat of the customer. He is cuddled under his bed with a nice chocolate drink. I don't have koyach to look to what? To extinguish the fire, put out the fire that's going to burn the schora of the customer. I got all the money. All the money is nice here under my blanket, or my $10,000 here, under my pillow, under my mattress. Yeah. Why should I go? Am I a shomer? It's oinus. Fire, oinus. I don't have to do it. He's barely even a shomer. Don't go that way. That's a whole different story. Because we want to avoid that and create responsibility on the side of who? The mocher, the seller, right? We say, no, it's not a done deal until who's he? Until the customer pulls it, which means that you, Mr. Mocher, you can actually still go back and say, no, I want a higher price. Why? What would incentivize the Mocher to get out of his bed and run with his pajamas and put out the fire like a firefighter? Why is that? Because he says, wait, I'm a friar. I could ask him for more money. Yeah, I can actually, it's never a done deal. Dafka, because it's not a done deal, the moicher, can always regret the deal and say, as long as there's no Mashiach, the moicher, I am keeping the rights of maybe always going back. Are you not giving me more money? 10,000, 12,000. That would incentivize him, although it sounds kilo not so yashar, but What? Right. Very good. Good point. Good point to be discussed. Give the Mishapara. Beautiful. Lamaisa, not everyone's scared of Mishapara. It's not a Kenyan. Lamaisa, they would incentivize him to say, wait, since it's never a done deal, I still want to keep my little cutesy bunch of wheat that I'm selling him because, and I'll put out the fire, look after it very nicely from retivut, from everything, because maybe, he'll agree to a higher deal and it's not a done deal. Says Rab Shimon in the Mishnah. Here comes the big machlokas Tanoim. From Amiroim, we go back to Tanoim. The Nekama says, well, this applies to both the buyer and the seller. As long as there's no Mashicha, as long as it was the only transfer of money, it's not a done deal. Leave Mishapar alone for a second. Believe me, it will be discussed extensively. But it's not a done deal. Says Rab Shimon, hey, guys. Says Rab Shimon, wait a second. Why? If you listen to the Gzer that we just said, it's only the seller that should be able to regret the sale, but the buyer cannot. Ooh, it's a one-side deal. The buyer, he doesn't have that issue of the what's his name, of the right, of the wheat burning and being incentivized. No, the buyer, we have no no reason to make the buyer flexible. It's not by him, not kashur this whole gzera. Says Rab Shimon, it's a one-side thing, no equality for everybody. According to Rab Shimon, the moicher may regret, meaning it's not a done deal to have Kenyan money, and the buyer, for him, it's a done deal. Wow. In other words, it's a half a Kenyan. Once you gave money, according to Rab Shimon, one side may regret, but the koine, the buyer, may not regret, not just Mishapora. It's a complete Kenyan. That's Rab Shimon. Wow. And Chachamim said no. There are two machlokesim here. There's Chachamim against Rabbi Yehuda, and there's Chacham, that's our machlokes, which we are in right now. As a machlokes, a second one, I don't have to do a chart, I don't think. Chachamim versus Rab Shimon. What do Chachamim against Rab Shimon? Chachamim say, listen, we learned in Cheder, we know Kinyan Mois is not koine. No, just Mashicha. Moicher, koine, my grandmother, everybody's the same. As long as there's no Mashicha, there's no Kinyan. Rab Shimon says, no. Once there was giving of the money, even without Mashicha, it's half the Kenyan. The seller may, be able to regret because we want him to always keep him on his toes. Maybe he can make more money, so I'll save it from the fire. But the corner, the buyer, no. Since midoraisa, really money is koine, by the buyer, we kept it like doraisa. For the buyer may not regret. Once the buyer gave money, boom, for him is frozen for life. With that Kenyan. That's what Rab Shimon says. Now we have to implement this machlokes and transplant it into our Gemara and see what happens. Very interesting. Because remember, what did we say up until now? The connection between the two machlokesim, if you may raise an eyebrow, is the two magic words Mishapoa. Mishapoa and Kinyan. What are we talking about over here? Over here, in our machlokes, Chachamim versus Rabbi Yehuda argue, let's say they didn't specify if it goes cheaper, then I want to go cheaper. The customer didn't specify, right? That's the case. Chachamim say, you're backing off, Mishapora. And Rabbi Yehuda says, no, Mishapora. It's understood itself, it's moving me'elov. It goes without saying that, of course, he wants a better price, and it's not called Mishapora. Now, let's put everything together, nice and slow. We're going to see how everything harmonizes, and everything, Be'ezras Hashem, will be clear. Yeah, we have about 10 minutes to go. We'll be Metzia, Be'ezras Hashem. Omar Leh. Yeah, where are we? Omar. No, we are in Omar Ravina. Thank you. Omar Ravina La Pope. Now Ravina is asking our Pope a question. Umimai de Rabbanon hi. How do you know? Why did you assume? What did Rav Papa say all the time? It's an issue of Mishapora, right? Rav Papa sided with Tanakama, saying what? That if you, the customer, you're getting cold feet and you say, now the price is cheaper, like you're saying, right? He wants to have the cake and eat it. Didn't specify anything, right? He didn't say you only want the better deal. Get Mishapara. You now cancel the deal? Or now you want 2 rings for $100? Because now that's a nice price for you. Tanakama, Rav Papa is with you. That's Mishapara. Says now to the finer point, Ravina is now asking Rav Papa. How do you know the Rabbonani, the Pligiale de Rabbi Shimon, the Amri Mois Loikonu? How do you know that our Mishnah, the Tanakama of our Mishnah, are the same people who argued with Rabbi Shimon, the people who argued on Rabbi Shimon in the first, in Azov, in the first Machlokes, they say the money is not koine. Money does not buy you. Cash doesn't buy you. Vafilu hachi, nevertheless, iposak keshar gavoya shokil kedehashta, iloi posak shokil kedemikora, and you still say in one word mishapora, right? You still say that you have to specify, I wanted the cheaper price. If you didn't specify I want always a better price, or meaning if it goes cheap, I still want to stick to the cheap price, to the current price. If you didn't specify that, then you have an issue of mishapora. No, we can explain that Tanakama by us is Rab Shimon, meaning, if you noticed in the Mishnah, which I read for you before, yeah, the Mishnah didn't say the words mishapora. The Mishnah just said, basically, to speak it there, Balbatishli, that the customer cannot just do whatever he wants. Like you say, the customer can't just do whatever he wants, have the cake and eat it. He can't say, the wind is not blowing my direction. Like a little boy, I'm running back to my, and say, no, I really want 50 the current price. But we didn't say Mishapora. Maybe Tanakama is Rabbi Shimon himself. What did Rabbi Shimon say? Dilma, maybe Rabbi Shimoni. Maybe our Tanakama is against the Lokeach. You know why? Because maybe we think like Rabbi Shimon. What did Rabbi Shimon say? The Omar Mois Koinois. Rabbi Shimon said it's not Mishapora, hard feelings, emotions. You're, excuse me, downright koine. You gave money in Tishrei, that is a full kinyan. Like Agba, Meshicha, Agav, Situmta, it's a kinyan. V'chiposa kishar gavoa shokil kihashta. If he was put, however, if he said clearly, I'm making a condition, and if it goes down, I want cheaper price, then it's okay. Of course, people can make very kosher Mahadrin kinyonim, Agba, Meshicha. If I make it a tnai, of course, I'm koine this cup, the Mahadrin, making it tnai, if you dance a dance at my daughter's chasana. That's okay. That I understand. Iloi posak, if he did not specify and he just said, yeah, I'm giving money, which is kinyan, shokil kimikora, which was a kani luzuzi. In other words, stop the Mishapora business. Who says it's Mishapora? Maybe our Tanakama is Rab Shimon, who believes what? Giving money, at least from the side of the koine, is kinyan. Agba, Meshicha, Agav, whatever you want, is poshet kinyan. That's why. Aval Rabbanon, but Rabbanon who argue on Rab Shimon in Hazov, the previous machlokes, Rabbanon who believe that giving money is not a kinyan, what I would call the mainstream opinion, the giving money is not a kinyan, then ben posak, ben loy posak, shokil kihashta. Maybe those Rabbanon would side with Rabbi Yehuda in our Mishnah, and they would say, if there's no real kinyan, there's no hard feelings, there's no mishapora. Why? You know why, Ellen? The daite the inish atara zila. Daite the inish atara zila. Maybe Rabbanan understand that since there's no kinyan, there's also no mishapora. Why? Because it goes without saying. If I go to your store, and even if you didn't specify it 100%, I said, here's $100 prepayment, and then we chat and we say, we know how, prices of gold are going up. There's a war in Ukraine. There was Corona and this and that. And we all know the inflation. I'm giving you $100 now. Keep it for yourself. I want you to be matzlich in your business, and I'll come and pick it. And 3 months later, we understand without specifying that I want the better deal. It goes without saying, says Rabbi Yehuda, and maybe even Chachamim of Rab Shimon. Everybody except Rab Shimon would say, of course it's no Mishapora, because it's self-understood. It goes without saying that I wanted the better deal. But if it goes down to 50, I'm not giving you a prepayment and a favor in order to lose. There's the first opinion. No. The first opinion of the Mishnah did not say Mishapora. We're being very extreme here, extremists. The first opinion is the opinion of Rab Shimon that says that money is kinyan. That's why you can't regret. So maybe there's no Mishapora whatsoever. We're trying to be very extreme. The first opinion of the Mishnah says what? It's a kinyan. A kinyan, I don't care, go up, down, or sidewise. Hashem is there, up, down, all right. You did a kinyan, who cares? Mashenkin, the second, and that's only Rab Shimon. He believes money is really, really koine, like a gebal. And the second opinion of the Mishnah, it really says there's no Mishapora. And that's everybody else except for Rab Shimon. They all look like Rabbi Yehuda here. Omerle, that's what he wants to say. Omerle answers Rav Popo to Ravina. Says no. Eimer the Omer Rabbi Shimon, even Rabbi Shimon has his limits. Unbelievable. Even Rabbi Shimon that says that kinyan mois is a kinyan for the customer, for the koine, for the lokeach, cannot go back. That's only true bechad tara. In other words, can I sometimes regret a deal? Yes. When is that? Mekachtos. If the shar remained the same, If the shah remained the same or is normal, let's say prices remain the same or slightly go up, the way it's supposed to be, and the customer goes back, you can't go back, says Reb Shimon. You gave money, you're in it. Yeah, you put your feet into it, that's it. You're fixed. Yeah. Betreitari mi omar. However, if prices change drastically to the detriment of the koine, would he still say that's called a kinyan? No. Why? Because I can say, excuse me, in such a case, there was not das. If I specifically say, I'm giving you money now, and I want to take it 3 months later, even Reb Shimon is so stark about kinyan, he would not say that's called a kinyan, because a kinyan means if everything goes normal. For me, to give you $100 now, and I didn't specify, but I almost specified it, we know that in a few months' time it's going to be more expensive, and it's self-understood that that's the case, it's not called a kinyan. Because a kinyan is only when things generally go my way. But you can't say a kinyan on something that it's clearly against what I expected. However, listen to this. However, Reb Shimon would say that there's mishapora. So Reb Shimon and Chachamim at the end of the day are the same regarding our Mishnah. They both agree the money is not koine when there's fluctuation of the price going down, but they both agree that there is mishapora. How do we know that Reb Shimon believes in mishapora in here? If you don't say like me, when price change going down, we don't say, if you don't say there's mishapora, because we were very extreme before. What did we say before? It's all or nothing. Either there's a real kinyan, or nothing. I can change without mishapora, changing like changing stocks in Marks and Spencer. So we say no. If you say that mishapora belokeach Reb Shimon leislei comes out, if you make the calculation, according to Reb Shimon, elokeach never has mishapora. It's either kinyan, right? It's either kinyan gomu if the price stays the same. The price goes up and down. If you say Reb Shimon as a Krab, then he's allowed to do it without mishapora. Comes as an empty space. There's no concept of mishapora for a buyer. Why are you scaring me? Yeah. If you tell me, yes, so what? Maybe Reb Shimon doesn't think there's mishapora for a customer. What's putting on tefillin, keeping Shabbos? Who says a customer has mishapora? I'll prove you wrong. Tanya, it says in the Brisa, mikol mokum kachal ot mikol mokum, in any way, any shape or form, that's the halacha. Aval omru chachamim mishapora. Yeah, the halacha means there's no kinyan, but there's mishapora. My mikol mokum, what's the extra words? In every case, in any case, lav deloishna lokech veloshna moichem mekabel mishapora. Both buyer and seller, they both have mishapora, and that's Reb Shimon talking. Let's summarize. If it's confusing, I'll summarize to you Bezel Hashem very nicely. The story is as follows. We have two machlokisim here that actually merged into, in certain way, merged into one. Excuse me. 1 minute. Okay, what is this doing to me? Okay, sorry. Now the story is like this. Rabbi Shimon is of opinion that what? That everything goes normal and good and prices don't change drastically. Once a customer gave money, it cannot go back. Right. If the customer gave money and it's understood that he gave money early and he only waits for the rings, not because he doesn't know where to store them. He waited for the rings only to do a favor to who? To the jeweler, yeah? 3 months later, he wants to get them and prices go down. That's not a kinyan. To say, oh, you're a kinyan. No, you can't do that to the guy. Obviously, it goes without saying there's no kinyan for something that's so much against me. However, we don't say nothing happened. Rabbi Shimon, which is the same as Art and Nakama, says there's one level down called Mishapora. There are 3 levels. I don't know if I should have told you that. Level 1, kinyan. Level 2, Mishapora. Level 3, free customer. You can change whatever you want. Change your socks, your shoes, and Marks and Spencer every other day. Let's repeat now. Rabbi Shimon and Art and Nakama are the same before Shirashi. They say that what? If there was a change of price that's drastic, a kinyan it's not. Ad kedei kach to say, you gave money, that's a kinyan. Come on. I gave money, obviously, in order to get the better deal. However, it's not so self-understood, and there's still mishapora. It's a very gray area, right? We're playing again between the customer and the seller. Yeah, we're not saying it's a done deal to the customer, but we're not saying to the customer, hey, do what you want. It's a mishapora. That's the nakama. Rabbi Yehuda says against both Rabbi Shimon and Chachamim, Rabbi Yehuda says no. But it says it so goes without saying. It's so clear. It's so moving me'elov that really I wanted the better deal that even Mishapara, the customer, doesn't get. That's it, guys. We just summarized it. Because it's 10:25, we need to see two more lines, and then I'll be happy for your questions. Now comes the Gemara back to the actual story of the son-in-law representing his father-in-law at the jewelry store. And what does Rav Papa say? Mr. Son-in-law, what's a psak halacha? What's the halacha? Rav Papa, die in the poisek. Son-in-law, you stuck. First time, he's not even married. Already has a problem with the shver. Already has issues with the father-in-law before they even got married. Yeah, you butched it up with the. So now, give me a minute. Yeah. Okay. Omar le Rav Acha Breda Ovel Ravashi. Why are you saying that the son-in-law gets mishapora or the father-in-law gets mishapora? There's nobody that can go to court and receive the klal chas v'shalom of mishapora. Why? The son-in-law can say, "I'm a shlich of the shver. It's a shver's money. My shver gave me the money. I'm a little yeshiva bacher, 22 years old. I have no idea from Lakewood I came. I'm a shliach, and therefore I wouldn't get mishapora." The father-in-law would look at the other guy and say, "No, what a klotz the son-in-law. I litikunish dartich v'lo liyibuti." It's a famous yesod, yeah. In other words, I made him shliach to do good things. He botched it up with all these wheeling dealing. Now and later, he didn't specify. He should have specified. If I was in the store, I'm 60 years old, seasoned man, businessman, I would have specified so nobody can take the klalo. So you mekalel. The shliach and there was miscommunication between the meshalech and the shliach. Answers the Gemara, no, he wasn't such a tmimistic guy. Omer lei, the taga de zabinu mazbin. The son-in-law wasn't a regular shliach. The son-in-law was a soicher that takes a cut. He happened to be the son-in-law who's going to stand under the chuppah, but he's also himself a budding businessman. He's a guy who's like an agent. He buys what at Abbas? He buys the tachshitim from the jeweler in Manhattan, and he gives them to the guy in Brooklyn for a cut. Yeah, he's like an agent. He's like a buy purchaser for them. So Lemaisa, the decision was the son-in-law. It's the son-in-law's fault. He acted with his own business idea, not representing the father-in-law. He wasn't a shliach. He said, okay, I'm a son-in-law who's about to marry your daughter, and you know what? I happen to be a business guy, wheeler dealer. He didn't say wheeler dealer about himself, yeah? Yeah, I'm dealing with tabais, with tachshitim. I'll get you the better deal, da-da-da. And he started mi'atzmoi, by his own accord, his own initiative, he started that business. So it's the son-in-law's fault. He decided to make that deal of what? Giving money early without specifying that if he goes down, he'll go down too. He forgot to mention that, and that's a sad mistake. Because we're passing like the Nakama like Reb Shimon, says Rav Papa, and the son-in-law will get mishapora. What a beautiful start for marriage. Hashem Yazor to this couple, not imaginary, they exist in times of the Gemara. And thank you very much for coming back. I'm sorry that we're finishing the shiur now because it's 10:28. So tomorrow, Mr. Shamishna, we hopefully will be finishing the parak in 2 days' time. And not 2 days, tomorrow's Thursday. In 2 Amudim, Berach and a daf from now, we're finishing Ezu Neshech. Be'ezras Hashem. Thank you very, very much. Yeah, okay. Thank you. Call to have a great day. And thank you to all Torah Anytime viewers and listeners and everybody on my channel on YouTube. Please subscribe to Akiva Tachtel Betzvi on YouTube. Thank you very much. Bye-bye. Hatzlacha.